So today, my talk is about involvement equals employment. Going to really talk about my experience, my college experience, be it with a mentor, my organization, and also getting involved in an organization, a professional organization in Michigan. But first, what I want to do is I want to start with the why. Why are you even here? I think that's one of the most important things that there we go, that students need to realize. And there's this great video done by Simon, and I'm going to show it. So we'll go through the why first. Then I'm going to tell you my story, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you can get involved or expand your involvement. I see a lot of people here that are already involved, which is awesome. But I'll kind of show you there's like multiple ways that you can be involved that will ultimately help you get employment, because you kind of know you're going to go into interviews and you're going to have you're going to have a degree, which is what's going to get you in the door. But once you get there, you got to have something else. You got to have something else that makes you stand apart from the other applicants. So it may be, you know, that habitat trip that you took to somewhere connects with somebody on that interview board, or their organization or the club you were a part of, they knew somebody that was also a part of it. So that's kind of what student life is all about, are those extra things that you put on your resume that will get you that job. All right, so it's kind of what the road I'm going to take you down. And some of it's down amnesia lane for me because I have some old pictures and stuff. It was pretty entertaining putting this thing together. So first, I want to start with this short clip. It's just under 2 minutes. How many of you ever seen this with Simon? Okay, so it might be a repeat for some of you. But this is really important, and it's just a clip, so it's not the whole thing. You could go back and watch this whole, like, I don't know, I think it's 15-minute TED Talk. But he basically talks about why, how, and what. And he talks about how most people tell you what they do or what they do, but they don't tell you really why. And his suggestion is that you start with the why. And we'll work on this once we watch the video. So let's just go ahead and watch him for a couple minutes. Audio's not the best on this, but you'll get it.
Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains...
I'll stop it there. Hopefully you'll go and watch the rest of it. But did that make sense? So my question to you is, when people say, hey, what are you doing at SVSU? Would your answer be, I'm getting a degree in social work? You should flip that. And you should say, tell them why. Even though it sounds like they're asking that what, you tell them why. You say to them, so it might be, the common way might be, I'm getting a degree in social work. How you doing that? Oh, I'm taking it. I'm at SVSU. Why are you doing it? And then you say, well, I want to help people. But what you need to do when you're selling yourself, especially when you're in that interview or those types of things, or even talking to professionals, you need to say, they say, hey, what are you going into? And you can say, I have a passion for helping people, and I really want to do that. I want to go into social work. SVSU has a really great program where I get to actually interact with people and do that. So ultimately, I'm going to help people with my degree. So you see how it just kind of flip it around? Instead of just saying, I'm getting a degree in social work, okay, that's fine. But that's not really your passion, is it? Your passion's not that degree. Your passion is that you want to help people. And I like to say that the why is your passion. You need to know what your passion is, and you need to go after it. All right, so now we're going to get into my story, my passion. Why I do what I do. So this is me on the right here. If you ever see the movie Dream a Little Dream with the Corey Feldman, I think that's the exact same shirt and tie that he wore. And his hair was probably that high and out too. But I really was going to make movies. This was my path. I have to tell you, at age 10, my dad got the first VCR camera on the market. You actually had to carry the VCR deck with you in this big pouch, and then you put the camera on and you did all that. And so it took me 2 years to talk my dad into allowing me to use it. So about 12, he started letting me use it and take it around the neighborhood with this other guy, Matt, who also wanted to make movies. It's interesting because we look back and we say, man, if YouTube existed back then, that would have been our niche. It would have. We made movies about everything. We made movies about our friends. We made movies about stupid things. Once we even dated ourselves. So there were 6 characters in that show, and we played them all. And I made a really ugly woman. So we wanted to make movies. So all the way through high school, we were making movies. I actually got a camera, worked to get an actual VCR camera, which were like $1,000 back then. And I carried that thing around my whole senior year. I'd film all my friends, and I'd make these great music videos with them. And why I liked it so much, my passion was because you could create something, and then you could put it out there, and people would watch it. We'd have these parties, and people would watch them. And you could watch people like living vicariously through. I mean, you've all been to the movies, right? You feel it, right? So anyways, we realized there were these film festivals and such. So we submitted, I think, 3 or 4 films. And we got some honorable mentions, but we did get Best of Show, which was amazing. There were 2 Best of Shows. One was in VCR format, video, and one was in film. And we actually won the video Best of Show out of Detroit Area Film and Video Festival. Surprisingly, we didn't expect that coming out of the gate, but it was amazing. They didn't announce us. They actually played the movie in a full theater with all these people, and then they brought us up, and it was really amazing. That was like why I did what I did, hearing people say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of cool. It was this really crazy, like, music box movie. It was all subliminal, and that was sort of Matt's gig. I loved the technical aspect of making movies. I loved it. I loved to look through the camera. I loved the editing and stuff and everything. So here we are. We win this Best of Show. We get to go to film school. We went to Cranbrook for a summer and did all this film work, and it was absolutely amazing. So there I go. I know I'm going to make movies. I'm going to do that type of thing for the rest of my life. Problem is, I have terrible grades, and I really want to go to Michigan State because their telecom program is amazing, right? So I find out that at MSU, Parks and Recreation will take anyone, right? Doesn't matter what kind of grades you have. So I apply there knowing that if I'm there for a semester, I can then change from the ag college to the telecom college, all right? Totally have a plan. I'm going after my goal, right? First class I take is event planning with this professor, Dr. Brister. And I am blown away. It's absolutely awesome. We run events for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, those types of things. And I realized after running 2 or 3 events that it was no different than a movie, but better, because it still gave me my passion. What happens is, in a movie, you guys go to a movie, you know, you live through it, vicariously through it, think it's awesome, you go out, you talk about it, right? But it's a movie. It's not a real experience. an event is a real experience. So I started to realize that you still cast it, you get your volunteers, people working for it, you write out this, what the plan is for the event, you actually run the event, you direct the event, and then people walk away. And the difference was when people walked away, they walked away with like memories and like photos, and they were real. So that's kind of where I transitioned. I never even looked at telecom after that semester. I was like, I'm running special events. Don't know where this is going to take me, but I knew that's what I wanted. So I had to make this transition, and the way that I did it was through getting involved on campus. That's where we bring it into this. And there were 3 key things that happened to me while I was at MSU that helped me get into my profession. First one is find a mentor. So this is Dr. Brister. He has since passed away. He was full of energy, this old dude that was like 60-something, but he acted like a 35-year-old or 25-year-old. You guys probably can't even relate to 25-year-old. Let's say 25-year-old. Just great guy. And I encourage you to find a mentor. Find a professor or somebody that you connect with and get to know them. I was really blessed in that, yeah, I had said I had really bad grades. I had a learning disability, which back then didn't really get diagnosed a lot. They put you through what they call remedial school. And, but Dr. Brister had a son who had dyslexia. So he realized that I was struggling bad with some papers and such, and he pinned me down. Not actually pinned me down, but once he actually knew, he tried to have a meeting. I think I dodged him for 3 weeks. And he said, look, I think you have a learning disability, and we talked about it. And he got me testing and all this help and with my dyslexia. So there's the support part that a mentor can do for you. He motivated me. He basically said, Jason, look, you're working at Impressions 5 Science Museum. It's really fun and it's really cool, but you need to work in your field. And I'm like, well, I can't really find a job. He says, that's not what I'm saying. He says, you need to volunteer, do whatever it takes to get experience. You need something on that resume. So through him, I actually just went to the East Lansing Recreation and Arts and said, hey, I'm here. I'll do whatever you want. And it started with nobody wanted to open the building up for the Korean church on Sunday mornings because they just didn't want to get up and do it. So I said, I'll do it. So I got to bring my dog, and she got to hang out in the office, and we just, listened to Korean church, but I have no idea what they said, but that led to them saying, okay, that's cool. So I got to do some open rec times with basketball. I got to do some 3-on-3 tournaments. So it opened a door because I was willing to do anything. And he was right. That all went on my resume. I didn't get paid for it, but you know what? I had experience, and I'd shown that I wanted more experience. So that's kind of the impact that a mentor can have. And also, I mean, he's a teacher. He was my teacher too, which was great. Second thing I did was joined an RSO. So Parks and Recreation did not have an RSO. So this guy here, where cigars are bad for you, don't smoke them. But the guy on the left, that's me on the right with hair. The guy on the left, his name's Jason, but we called him GP because I wanted to be the only Jason. We decided to start a club. And I saw this as a great opportunity to run events, and he saw it as a great opportunity for leadership. So he took the president, and I took promotions and events. And we started the Parks and Recreation Tourism Club, or PRTR Club. And I ran a whitewater rafting trip to West Virginia. We ran Big Brother, Big Sister trips. So it was an opportunity for me to actually do things that I wanted and build a resume with it. Another thing that happened was we found out that CMU did have a club. So we connected with them originally to learn what they did. And what really became cool, I was able to do, my second year, I was able to do some class sharing. So we actually were able to go to CMU's Parks and Rec classes, and they were able to come to us. We'd swap for a day. It was really, and you obviously had a host, somebody that took you around the campus. Really, really cool, expanded our world. So obviously many of you are in RSOs, but take advantage of what they have. Just don't be a general member. Take a position and try to do what you're going to do in your field. If you're going to be an accountant, be the treasurer. That's like an easy one. Get some experience. That's something you'll put on a resume. Not an accountant.
Not easy.
No. No, it's not easy, but this is actually the great place to actually make mistakes. That's what's wonderful about the university environment. The last thing that I did was I found out that there was a professional organization for recreation. Really? But it really does exist. And it's called Michigan Parks and Recreation Association. They actually wanted to start a student group. So GP and I were like, this would be great, because CMU had a student group. They had a student group that was part of that. So we started the MRPA student group for MSU. which was great. And what we ended up doing, mostly what we did was we were basically free help for MRPA. So they ran like 3-on-3 tournaments, golf outings, stuff like that. So we would go to them and volunteer. And I have to tell you, to find a professional organization in your field and get integrated with them is huge. Because what I did was I got to know the professionals. You know, I'm driving the beer cart for the golf outing. You know, they're loving me. So I'm seeing the director of, you know, Lansing's Parks and Rec, Grand Rapids Parks and Rec, and I'm getting to know these people. That was huge, really huge. So that's kind of when we talk about getting involved, it's not always just like sign up for an RSO. It's about the whole package. It's about finding a mentor, somebody who can connect you with the resources of your university and also the resources in your field. It's about joining an RSO and then taking the full benefit of it, doing what you love, taking your passion and doing that. And it's also about becoming a professional and joining a professional organization. So ultimately, I did all this, right? So did it work? So my internship, I got through Grand Rapids Parks and Rec because of the director, because I gave him a beer, which I don't know if that's really ethical, but he remembered me. I was able to call him. They had an open spot. Grand Rapids is one of the top Parks and Rec departments in Michigan. That's why I went after it. So I was really blessed. They only take one park and one recreation intern a year. They only take, that's it. So I was really blessed to get that. Through that, I stayed involved in MRPA, and I was able to connect with a woman who was directing a teen center in Cadillac and was moving on to athletics. And she told me I should apply, and I got my first job. And this is my, I landed my first job. They took pictures of everybody and posted the actual staff, and I stole it when I left because I thought it was too great. I look pretty happy. I have a job. So that's kind of how it all works. You see that? First you need to know what your passion is. Know what it is. And then surround yourself with things that fuel that passion so that when you go in there for that resume or for that interview, your resume has these things on here, but also you can talk about it. And they'll see the passion in you. They'll know. They're like, man, they've been involved. They didn't just get the degree and then expect to have a job. They worked in the field already. And what I'll leave with this is, first time you're applying, you're probably going to see all these things that say 2 years experience, right? 2 years experience. I've done a lot of hiring too in my time, and if I can see on a resume that you have experience even while you were going to college, I usually count it towards it, and they usually will too. You can justify that. And I hear so many people that graduate and they're like, oh, they always want experience. Well, you know what? You're here right now, start getting experience. Whether it's volunteering or joining a professional organization, those types of things, you can start getting experience now. All right? Questions?